If it feels like Ryan Day is going from one great quarterback to the next, that's because he is. But the way in which he ended up with Julian Sayin as the presumptive starter at Ohio State really says a lot about what the Buckeyes have been selling and where they hope to go. But I also have a question. Do you think they should add just one more quarterback to this room? What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, thank you. Welcome. We have a very good time here. We talk college football 24/7, 365. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. It costs nothing. It's free. It's like a follow on TikTok or a follow on X or Instagram, what have you. And answer the question. Do you think Julian Sayin is the future? And do you think that they need to add another quarterback to this room? I'm interested because Julian Sayin, by all accounts, is the goods, right? John Talty actually wrote a great column and co-wrote The Price, which took a deep dive into Julian Sayin's recruiting process and how he ended up at Alabama to start, and then, the fallout there. I thought there were a couple of very interesting anecdotes that he relayed. One is Julian Sayin really wanted to play for Nick Saban. There were lots of folks that wanted him. There were a lot of suitors for what could be the best 5-star of his class. And Ohio State already had a guy in Aaron Nolan that they liked who can also spin it. Also a dual threat. So Julian Sayin wanting to go play for Nick Saban naturally goes to Alabama. His family moved from Carlsbad with him to Tuscaloosa. And then the day after he arrives, he finds out that Nick Saban is going to retire, which kind of throws everything into a tailspin. And Saban had told Sayin, look, if you stay, you have a really great chance to start this year because you got my endorsement, and Kalen DeBoer might need another guy at quarterback. And he was saying that as a guy who wanted to play Sayin at quarterback. And I mean that like literally. Another great anecdote that Talty unearthed came from Miss Terry, who said, look, at the Texas game, Nick had said, I wish I had Julian here, I'd play him. And they end up losing to Texas 34-24, and Jalen Milroe gets benched after that game for how he had played and how he responded. But also, Milroe comes back and leads that team to the SEC championship and birthed in the college football playoff. I think that might have ended up being like a Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts kind of situation if it goes the way that you think it might and you believe that Julian Sayin is the guy. Then looking at what Jalen Milroe was able to do in 2024 and then what his stock might look like in 2025 for the NFL draft, there's a little bit more to this, especially if you've seen Julian Sayin throw the football. It's effortless, it's natural, it's easy, and it's gas. Like, dude's got an arm, dude can sling it. He's understated. He's not a rah-rah guy, but he's also in a great situation where he's a part of a national championship winning program, and he gets to see a guy in Will Howard who's a grad transfer, much older than him, how he works, what his work ethic looks like, and how he responds to, frankly, some of the worst losses of his career. That one to Michigan, like the one to Oregon, is not entirely on him, but it's how it ended, right? And then losing to Michigan, only to come back and win 4 in a row, lead this team to a national championship, and hand what we think are the keys to a very fast car to Julian Sayin, who is going to have dudes. He's going to have Jeremiah Smith. He's going to have Carnell Tate. He's going to have Brandon Ennis. They added Max Clare, who might be the best tight end in the Big Ten going into this year. He's going to be okay. He's also got, at least right now, Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. And if he's not, still got Ryan Day, who, again, gets to go from one great quarterback to the next. It has been a really cool string for him. Like, the only guy that I think had a run that was better might be Lincoln Riley, who went from Baker Mayfield to Kyler Murray to sort of to Jalen Hurts to sort of Spencer Rattler, to Spencer Rattler, to Caleb Williams, right? Like, it's been there. And most of the guys that Lincoln recruited to Oklahoma turned out to be good. We just won't speak about Chris Robeson, Mr. Riff Raff himself. Meanwhile, Ryan Day has gone basically from Dwayne Haskins, great player. Those of us that got to see him play still wish we could see him play. That dude could sling it. It's a natural passer. If you don't know who I'm talking about, go look him up. It's not been that long. So Dwayne Haskins, right, to Justin Fields, to, goodness me, C.J. Stroud, to Kyle McCord, who was the best passer for yardage and really great at Syracuse and lost one game at Ohio State, to Will Howard and now to Julian Sayin, so it seems, right? I also think it's kind of cool to think that, Ryan Day had an opportunity to have Joe Burrow and it wasn't going to work because the move was Dwayne Haskins, and Joe Burrow goes to LSU and leads them to a national championship, wins the Heisman Trophy. Even though Jalen Hurts had better stats than Jaden Daniels did that year. Like, Jaden Daniels went for 3,800 passing, 1,100 rushing, with 42 total TDs. I think Jalen Hurts went for 3,800 passing, 1,298 rushing with 50 TDs. And that wasn't good enough because you got Joe Burrow out here throwing for 5,000 yards, 60 TDs, 6 INTs. Yeah, all right, cool. Then you get to look at what Sayin ended up doing, which is not staying in large part, another great detail unearthed by Talty, because of a 2-minute conversation he had with Kalen DeBoer where DeBoer asked him how to spell his last name. And after the kind of close recruiting that Saban had done where you get to know everything about this guy and to know that you're going to have to prove yourself to a guy who just got here that you deserve the opportunity, well, okay. You could say his feelings might be hurt, but there's also going into the portal and knowing that Ryan Day's going, hey, we got a spot for you if you want it. And that was when Bill O'Brien was still the offensive coordinator. And that was part of it, right? Sayin had got to know O'Brien as the offensive coordinator at Alabama, wanted to work with that guy directly. Then Bill O'Brien does to Sayin what Nick Saban did to Sayin. He just leaves the job, right? Goes to Boston College. But Sayin sticks around and is made to understand you're going to have a shot here. And then when Aaron Nolan goes into the portal last December, we're all going, okay, it's very clear to us that you want Julian Sayin to be the guy. However, you got an opening now on that quarterback position. And folks that saw Lincoln Kienholz against Missouri, they understand how Lincoln Kienholz probably ain't the dude. People that ain't seen Lincoln Kienholz play quarterback, you need to go watch the tape, and then you tell me what you think. And then you got Tavian St. Clair, 6'4", 225, who's got basically the same sort of metrics that Will Howard does coming in as a true freshman, but I don't see Ryan Day starting a true freshman at quarterback. I just don't see it. But you want to have that guy around in case it goes bad. Meanwhile, you got another spot for a quarterback, I think. And one of the guys that I am interested in seeing where he lands is Jaden Rashada. Jaden Rashada, who went to Georgia right when he needed to go to Georgia, was the third-string guy, right, behind Gunnar Stockton and Carson Beck, goes into the portal, doesn't come out in the December period, and is decided to wait until the spring window to start making some decisions. There are people that are very interested in Rashada, but this also is indicative of the times. You get to do this now. If you are a quarterback and you've got some moxie to you, you've got some good tape, and Rashada does from Arizona State, you're going to have folks that are pursuing you, and you get to weigh all sorts of options, and you get to try to get this one right after a very public falling out the University of Florida. Billy Napier, $13 million. Really the big money contract to start all the big money contracts that come now. He's still fighting that, and it's going to be difficult for him to find another place where that doesn't come up, but I think, with time, it'll go away. Jaden Rashada feels like the kind of guy that might be able to help in Ohio State, even just being in a locker room, right? Not necessarily starting, but maybe he is the guy that if you don't see it with Sayin and you don't want to burn Tavian St. Clair, you get to give the reins to Jaden Rashada and see what you got. It's also a point where not every 5-star pans out. Not every 5-star is great. Even the guys that look really good playing a position in high school. Thinking about guys like Jackson Arnold, who many of us thought at Oklahoma was going to be a slam dunk, right? Going from strength to strength, going from Dylan Gabriel to Jackson Arnold. Felt like you were going to do one better. A guy that could actually move and still throw the football around. Dylan Gabriel can move well, but Jackson Arnold's got wheels. I think that Rashada could give you that other quarterback that you might have had if Nolan decided to stick around, and maybe, who knows, Nolan might have competed with Julian Sayin and won the job come the fall camp, made everybody sharp. Instead, he elects to go to South Carolina. I'll be interested to find out where Jaden Rashada goes, but it's clear to me why people are so high on Julian Sayin. And while I don't expect Ryan Day to find and announce him as a starter by the end of spring practice, I do expect him to start week 1 against the University of Texas, August 31st. That's going to be a lot of fun. Sayin versus Manning. Goodness me.